Welcome back to another video, and today I'll be doing the eyeshadow wardrobe tag. Welcome back, and today we're doing something fun. So I spotted this was like already maybe a month or so ago that It's Just Steph, I believe is the channel's name. She did this eyeshadow wardrobe tag video, so this is essentially another version of the eyeshadow palette tag videos that I have been like going around YouTube, I think ever since like makeup YouTube became a thing. But I did like kinda the tags that were included in the video, so I thought that I would do the same, and I will be linking Steph's original video below, so if you want to go watch her choices, then you can click on the link. But there was one, I will put all the tags, so if you want to do this on your own channel or you would like to consider what would your choices be, I will put all the tags in the description box. There was one tag that I didn't pick out a palette, and that was there for concerts, but this is mainly the reasons that I really don't go to concerts. Those aren't the kind of entertainment I like to do on my free time, so there is like one tag in the description box that I didn't do. But all the others I think I did do, and I have like a plethora of palettes with post-it notes on top of them, so let's just actually now get to the palettes that I chose for this video. Okay, and I'm not gonna promise that these are in the same order as the tags in the description box, because I might have them a bit mixed up when I got them from my room to my filming space, but anyway, let's now get to the palettes because there's quite a few. So first one was Girls Night Out, and this was something that I did have to make because there is another tag about a date night palette, and usually if I'm just generally going out having fun with my friends, or if it's a date night with my husband, then I was thinking that yeah, the color stories that I would like to do are kind of same. But I did end up picking different palettes for these, and for the Girls Night Out I picked up the Climatrix Rich Romantic palette. We are all aware that this hasn't been my favorite palette in terms of formulations, because I have had some issues with the shimmers, but for the idea of this Girls Night Out, I thought that well, this would be fun because it has the sort of like pink colors that I generally like in my eyeshadow palette, but this has the sort of very nice, like there's some very shifty, beautiful shades, and altogether you can get quite like sultry looks with this one, but you can also do something a bit more lighter, and altogether I thought that for the like Girls Night Out theme, this would be a very fun palette that I would could think about doing a look with if there would be like a occasion for that. But of course, usually how it goes is that I use the palettes that are on my rotation, so there's like a few specific occasions that I do like to pick out palettes that are outside of my like rotations, but with the 2-week rotations I can ensure that all the makeup in my collection gets tested out and gets used. But if I would like to pick out a specific palette from my drawers, this would be for the Girls Night Out. So the next one was for the date night, and this was pretty easy. I immediately knew when I saw the tag for this one, I was like, yeah, that's no problems. So this is the Natasha Denona Retro palette. I'm really hoping she would do some kind of revamped version of this one, because the formula of this is getting a bit old, I will say about that. But I mean, I don't know, do I have to explain it with this one? It's very romantic, this sort of mauvish pinkish looks that you will get with this one, and altogether this is just something that also I know that the looks will turn out every time very pretty, and all the shades with this one go with each other, and this is truly something that I have actually digged out for quite many of like special occasions, so this is a favorite for a reason. But as I said, the formula of this one is getting a bit old now that I have actually a couple of the newer Natasha Denona palettes, so I'm hoping that we would get some kind of upgraded version of this one, and I could then declutter this one, because also I have a feeling you can kind of feel also the formula getting old in terms of the fact that some of the shimmers are getting a bit harder to pick out, but still a very beautiful palette, very beautiful color story, and for date night this is definitely something that I would pick out. Okay, then for the vacation. So with vacation I think this goes with quite many people, that at least I have sort of, when I sort of hear like bigger makeup influencers talking about like how they like to do their makeup. So if I'm on a vacation, I want something simple, something that's very quick and easy, because I don't want to like have to like take time from a holiday to actually do my like makeup in a very long routine. So I actually did pick out a palette that has come out with quite a lot of my vacations and holidays. So this is the blush nude palettes from MUA, and I think this was ranked as my favorite drugstore palette from last year. The packaging is cheap, like very cheap, so don't get it wrong with that one. But the formulas in this one, especially considering how inexpensive these are, is truly very beautiful. The shimmers are these very like almost wet looking shimmers. The mattes are very easy to work with, and this one is just usually that I like to do 1 and 2 mattes on my crease and then throw in one of the shimmers and it's like ready to go. So for the easy sort of vacation looks that I know that will come out alright every time, this is a good palette. And even though the packaging is very cheap, it is very thin, so this is also something that fits in with my sort of travel makeup bag. So next one, graduation, and I did have to go back because it's been like quite a while since I graduated from university. So I first did my bachelor's, and then at the end of my bachelor's I immediately applied for master's program. So I have done like altogether almost like 6 years of university. And for the master's graduation I did have to like go back and think that what on earth was I wearing. However, I think the reason why it was a bit hard to remember was that I graduated just before I think the like first COVID, like first phase of COVID came and everything was locked down. So that might be the reason why I wasn't remembering so well what I wore on my graduation day. But I do remember that it was quite neutral altogether, and that is why I also thought that if I would be for some reason graduating now, and considering that usually for graduation celebration I would maybe like to think that there's like a lot of family members present, and maybe I would like to put something that I know that for sure will look nice on photos. So I actually picked the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette for this one. So this is a very basic neutral palette, but I do think for graduation makeup this is something that I would think that if I know this changes a bit depending what kind of university system you're in, but I made the consideration that if there would be some kind of official graduation ceremony and then after that you would go to a restaurant, or if you would have a bigger party. So I thought that this would be something that I know that will look nice throughout the whole like day, and no matter what kind of lighting the photographs will be taken, this will look like nice. This will look very pretty on the eyes, and you do get quite a bit of impact because this has the new Natasha Denona formula. So for example, this Muse shimmer over here, very impactful. Similarly, I would say that also this Delilah, if you want to use more of a topper shade, this is also very sparkly. So I think for like graduation purposes, this would be quite of a perfect palette. Then I will have to move my palettes a bit around. So about seasonal things, Christmas party, and with this one I was thinking not the Christmas. Well, in our country, Christmas we celebrated on the 24th, so it's already on the Christmas evening, and then the Christmas day is sort of quite of a lazy day when everyone is feeling very much like their stomachs are still full of food from the previous evening, and everyone usually just lays around. But for Christmas parties, I was thinking more about not the Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, but more maybe about the pre-Christmas parties, that at least in our country we do have those a lot. And this is probably gonna be, considering that I do actually have Christmas specific like eyeshadow palettes in my collection, this is probably gonna be a bit of an odd choice, but this is truly a palette that I have actually used doing my pre-Christmas party, like pre-Christmas celebration makeup. So this is the Pat McGrath, and this is the original Divine Rose palette, and I'm gonna actually see that. Can I get this open? So this is something that, and I think you might have seen this in my sort of Christmas palette recommendation videos quite often, like I think I did one last year. And for me this is truly like why I tend to put this to my like Christmas party categories is like I think this is the shade that makes it for me the ultimate Christmas party. So usually I do this, that I combine some variation of the two mattes that are included in this one, and then I usually put some kind of, usually the more like satin kind of shades like this one underneath, and then I top it off with the Astral Blitz shade over here, and that's how I usually get my pre-Christmas party looks. And I can at least say that like even though you would think that okay, but there are like, for example, I have the Odin's Eye Christmas palettes, which you will be seeing one of those in another tag. But I think because usually with the pre-Christmas parties, because I have ones that are related to my work and then ones that are more maybe free time with friends, but this is just something usually easy that I know again that you have to take into consideration that there's photographs taken, the lighting conditions of the party venues can be a bit different, but again this is something that I know that will look good no matter what the celebration conditions are. Then what are we having next? Birthday party. So for birthday party I was thinking personally my own birthday party, so if I would have to consider again that I would be going to someone else's celebration, the choice might be different. But for my birthday party I thought that, well, what would be the ultimate favorite palette currently, and something that I was just like bring me a lot of joy doing my birthday makeup, and the choice was very easy. So I picked out the Cold Moon palette from Errands. This is still, I think, my favorite palette that has come out during this year, and this is how the palette looks like. It's very beautiful, cool toned. This is a cool toned more neutral linen palette from Errands, but this has bit of, you get different kind of cool tones. There's pinks and mauves, you have a bit of silvers. There's even some blues and greens in this one. And the shimmers especially that Errands puts in these palettes is very like beautiful and quite special. And this is still like from all the palettes so far that I have tried during this year, this still stands my favorite. And I think considering that my birthday is coming up pretty soon, I think this would actually be something that I might dig out separately to do my birthday look with. And then where are we next? So we had office looks for the next. So again, this was a palette that I did approach in thinking that, well, what would be a palette that I know that no matter is it a more formal occasion or just every day at the office, I'm in a quite of a lucky position that our workplace there aren't really like rules what kind of makeup you can wear, because I certainly know that those types of workplaces exist, but I am quite free to do any kind of eye look that I want to do for work. But I was thinking that there are of course sometimes occasions that a more toned down makeup is appropriate, so this is sort of the way I went, and I actually decided to pick the By Radar Remembrance palette, and I'm sorry this is very reflective, so I'm just gonna open. So with this one I was like making the consideration that you can combine any of these shades again together and I will know that the look will come out great every time. And these are more, I'd say, the sort of classical eyeshadow shades in terms of the fact that a lot of the shimmers are more satin-like, but they do actually flatter any kind of lid type. And this is one of those that I think that no matter what kind of workplace or office environment you're in, this is a very like office appropriate altogether, especially if you like your more warm-toned looks. And now I actually managed to get one of the silver shades in my fingers. So next one was a wedding guest, and with this one I was thinking that the most important rule if you're going to anyone's wedding is that you certainly shouldn't outstage the bride and the groom. Or if it's of course it can be a bride and bride or groom and groom, but as a guest the attention shouldn't be really on you, it should be on the wedding couple. So with that thing in mind I actually went out with the Chanel, I think Lumiere Graphique was the name of this quint. So this was their holiday release last year, and this is how the quint looks like. And this one I think will give you a very like classical, this sort of silver leaning cool toned look that is quite soft, and definitely something I would say it's very wedding appropriate, but you won't be outstaging the wedding couple. And I really enjoyed working with this one. It is a bit of a more traditional luxury formula, so this isn't gonna do anything super sparkly or you won't get anything super dramatic, but you do get depth with this one because this black even it like builds, but it doesn't look like it's a very like deep black, so it doesn't really go smoky, but it gives the kind of soft deepening effect to your like outer corner, and then these sort of satin shades pair quite well with each other. So as a wedding guest this would be definitely my #1 choice. So I was thinking we have quite a few. I'm gonna do the seasonal ones last. So Everyday Errands was the next one. So this, I think the idea of this one is meant to be something that's just very quick on the go. And I actually decided to choose a palette that's currently in my rotation, so you haven't seen a review of this yet. But this was the MUA Desert Bloom, and this is one of their 5-pan palettes. I think this really in one way goes really well with the like everyday go just running for errands, because with this one it's very easy. You just throw in the one of the mattes in your crease and then use one of the shimmers, and you have a very beautiful look. It kind of makes you look that you have like put some effort into your makeup, but actually it's like only a couple of minutes and you will get the look done. So I have been now, as I said, using this in my rotation. I will go more in depth with the formulas when I will include this in a eyeshadow palette review video. But for the sort of, if you're just looking for something quick and very small that, for example, it goes to your purse. So if you're a makeup person who does your makeup on the car or on the public transport, this is also a very good option in terms of the fact that it's very small. And as I said, you will get, no matter what sort of combination you use the shades in this one, you will get a good look every time. So then for the new year, and this actually is the one that I picked up in Oden's Eye palette. So this is the Christmas Eve palette, and these were there from their holiday palettes a few years ago. However, they did really relaunch these during last Christmas, but I do believe that these also sold out last year too. And why I picked out this for the New Year's Eve is because I think that this sort of I'm considering what New Year's looks, for example, in our country, it's usually pretty dark. It's in the like middle of winter. If it's a very warm winter, then it's very gray. Also, we can at worst have very sleet, and it can be very slippery. So I think altogether this sort of went with the New Year's vibe of this still very middle of the winter kind of theme is what I was thinking when I was thinking what kind of New Year's Eve palette I would pick out. And this again is actually a palette that I have done my New Year's Eve look. I'm thinking, was it also that I did it last year, or was it like the year before when I used this? But I truly think that, especially considering that the Oden's Eye shimmers, they are very sparkly. There's a bit of also duochromes in some of these shimmers, and also how well the matte sort of pair with the shimmers in this one. And generally that this is a color story that it's a bit colorful, but it's like a muted colorful. So actually, if you're also not a fan of super colorful looks, but you want to dip into color, I do think this is a very, very good palette. And altogether, Oden's Eye's formula, if you're looking for something a bit more special in indie brands, it's a good brand to generally pick from. Okay, then lastly we are gonna have seasonal palettes, so you can kind of take these also as my top palettes per season if I would have to like say them now, but of course the choice of these could depend a lot what day I will be doing this video. So first one was winter activities, and I chose this one. So this is the Dior Silver Essentials, and this I think for me is my ultimate winter palette, like altogether. Again, this isn't like going to be anything super sparkly because it's a backstage formula, but this is one of the better backstage palettes where the formula is still, it's very easy to blend, but it still manages to be very impactful, and you get some very beautiful, especially cool toned winter looks with this one. And this is a good formula if you have a texture on your lids, so also more mature people I think would enjoy this, but also generally I do know that you can have texture on your lid for different reasons. So this is I'd say a good formula for many kinds of people. And again, these are colors that all go very well together. So this is also very, I think, easy and approachable palette if you're looking for this kind of more cool toned bit purple leaning palette. Then there was the spring activities for next, and for those one I chose the Vintage Glam. So this is from Gloss Gods, and actually finally, if you have seen this palette in any of my decluttered palette rankings, you do know that there was a shade that for the longest time I was feeling that I have to repress it again, and I finally did manage to do it. So now I can actually show this like better. So this is the shade that I had to obviously repress. So I think for spring activities I went to that, well, what would be like my all around spring palette, and this is why I chose this one maybe compared to some of pastel palettes, is that I thought that okay, but what would be a spring palette that I feel that I could use like every day as a standalone palette. And this pretty much I think, because it has this sort of more purpley pinkish tones, especially because this has very light tones, so you do kind of get almost this pastel kind of spring vibes, but then you also have the more kind of neutral tones with this one, so I can use this as a cohesive palette, and if I want a more neutral look, then I can also get it with this one. And with Gloss Gods, there's still like special shimmers. I do think the shimmers in this one are very beautiful, and they go together with the mattes that this one has. Then the second to last palette, Summer Activities. Again, this was quite of a no-brainer for me, so I chose the Cosmic brushes, and this is the Royal Rose, and I think this was their first palette they did. I'm not sure is this available anymore. So for me, again, I was thinking that what would be an all-around palette that I could use again also as a standalone palette, and this again fitted quite well to that. So it has this sort of very bright punchy tones that especially during the summer I'm gravitating towards, but this does also have some neutrals to sort of balance out. So again, if I want to do maybe a pop of color look or just a neutral look with a nice shimmer, I can do all of that with this one. Only dot shade in this one is the Royal Rose shade in the bottom. This is very, I'd say, quite hard to use, but I think they didn't do this formula after the palette. The other shimmers in this one are very beautiful. This doesn't have the newest like multi-chrome shimmers that some of the newer Cosmic Brushes palettes have, but I do still like the shimmers in this one. They are still like very impactful and shiny, and altogether, as I said, for summer this is a very good color story altogether. And then last one, fall palette. So if you watched my recent, I actually did do a fall palette recommendation video that's on my channel. But for me, I think still what is a ultimate fall palette for me, I was kind of like debating between this one and the Beauty Bay Earthy 42 pan version that I also have, but I just think that this one gets me more excited, so that is why it's included. So this is the Samarian Sunset palette that Adept came out with last fall, and this truly, I think, based on the color stories, is the ultimate fall palette. With this one, I do have to say that for the mattes, I do have to reach for other palettes, so considering how I picked out the other seasonal palettes for this video, this doesn't exactly fill in the fact that I can use this just alone. I do feel that for some looks, not all looks, I do have to reach for other palettes, and especially with this one, what was very sad. Altogether, the matte formula in this one isn't great, and there are like two lighter mattes. These are just like dot shades. Even on my first skin tone, they just don't build up, and I feel that the matte formula is something that Adept definitely, they have some work to do with that one. But the shimmers in this one, the shimmer shades and what kind of shifts they have, truly like the ultimate fall dream, and that is why this was the fall choice for this particular tag video. But yeah, those were actually all the palettes that I had for this video. So those were all the eyeshadow palettes I had, and I would be very interested to know if you would have to like maybe choose few of the tags that are in the description box. What would be your palette choices? I do have to say some of the choices were easier, with some I truly had to like maybe think a bit, and I would also maybe like have the disclaimer that if I would film this video in another week, then some of these choices might be different, so these are of course always tied down to what are my preferences during the moment that I'm filming. If you like this video, push the like button, subscribe to this channel, and ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from my future content. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog, on Instagram. I hope I'll be seeing you again soon in the video. Bye bye!